Speaker. I just wanted to rise to speak on this bill at this point in time, and I want to start by thanking both the Minister and her team and the government more broadly for their genuine engagement on this, because I do think that it is very clear that the government has genuinely listened to the criticism it received from its first draft in 2023. I want to reassure Australians that this piece of legislation includes a number of safeguards and improvements. It includes a comprehensive impact analysis that's been undertaken. The exemptions for government content have been removed. The enforceable misinformation codes and standards will be disallowable by this parliament. Digital platforms will continue to be responsible for the content they host and promote. And what's really important to call out in a campaign of disinformation around this legislation is that neither the government nor ACMA will be able to engage directly with a content producer nor demand content be removed. The government has amended the bill to also stipulate that the review would be undertaken by an independent third party, and I thank the Minister for her engagement on this. I want to specifically talk about the human rights implications of this piece of legislation as somebody who has fought incredibly hard for human rights protections in this country since I came to parliament. While there have been valid concerns about potential implications to freedom of expression, I believe to the extent there is a restriction on that freedom of expression, it's justifiable and proportionate. And in fact, this legislation actually protects a number of human rights, including the right to participate in public affairs, the right to vote and be elected, the right to security of person, and the rights to protect against vilification and discrimination.
The member just shall resume her seat. The manager on a point of order.
Just on a point of order, the member does need to be speaking to the specific amendments before the House, so she could tailor her remarks to the specific amendments the minister has moved.
Member, I was listening carefully. The member was talking about Section 3, the digital platform rules order, providing for the criteria, and did mention ACMA in her remarks, so she is being directly relevant. But I'll just make sure that all members are reminded during consideration in detail. There's not an opportunity for a second bite at the cherry or a second reading speech, but so far the member is being directly relevant. But just remember, we're dealing with the amendments, not a general debate.
Mr. Speaker, and thank you for that, because the point I'm making is that the elements that have been introduced through the amendments to this legislation have made it infinitely stronger by ensuring that there is independent oversight in how this legislation will be enacted, and ensuring that actually there is access granted to researchers, which I want to particularly thank the member for Goldstein for the amount of work that she has done in advocating for that exemption. But what I will say is that as we've discussed this piece of legislation in this House, the opposition have argued consistently for the potential breach on freedom of expression, and I think that's a bit rich, given just a number of months ago, as the Parliamentary Joint Committee on Human Rights recommended we introduce a Human Rights Act, the opposition dissented vociferously on the basis that Australians' human rights were already adequately protected.
The member will resume her seat. Just further to the manager of opposition, but the opposition isn't mentioned in the amendments. That is not able to be used in the debate about positions. It is strictly about the amendments which are before me. So members do get some latitude, but to simply bring new argument into the debate is not possible under the standing orders. Member for North Sydney in continuation.
Ultimately, the challenge before this parliament right now is to assess whether the bill strikes an appropriate balance between safeguarding against misinformation whilst protecting the freedom of speech. And I do believe this bill has struck that balance. It's not perfect, but it's a start. And the risk that seriously harmful mis and disinformation poses to this country is too great to do nothing. Thank you.